Hello, happy Monday morning, everyone, and welcome back to Gradon Inspire. I'm Dania from Team Gradon, and you're tuning to the first webinar session for today with none other than U Mobile titled IT Career Boost Essential Certification. So our speaker for this session is Robin Young. Robin is a Senior Manager of IT Policy and Compliance at U-Mobile. And in this session, Robin will be sharing tips and insights on how you can explore the world of IT certifications as a way for you to stand out from the other candidates vying for the same job in today's ultra competitive working field, which is information technology. So be sure to take full advantage of this rare opportunity by asking questions related to career in IT and anything you would like to know about the IT industry in general, as our speaker Robin will be answering your questions live during the webinar session. So without further ado, I will now pass the floor to our speaker, Robin. Take it away.
Thank you, Daniel. Very great morning to everyone. Selamat pagi kepada semua yang hadir. Wow, sounds like a school. You all just leave school already. So as a freshie, I'm sure that you probably say, hey, now the most challenging time is just like exam. How do you pass the exam? But this exam is very different. You are looking for a job. There is no pass or fail in this sense, and there is no ending. No one will tell the result until you're hired. Challenging, right? Yep. Once again, my name is Robin. Good morning to you. I am from U-Mobile. I'm a senior manager with the IT department. So my current role is actually doing IT policy and compliance. Now, without further ado, I'd like to actually share my screen. Just give me a minute. Okay. Can anyone see my screen here? I hope you can. If you can't, please let me know. So this is typical of our SharePoint screen now, and this is the seminar you're in, webinar, IT Career Boost Essential Certification for you. You can see I carry quite a number of different certification titles, which I'll explain more later. Okay, perhaps just to give a little bit structure to the webinar, these are the following agenda about myself: why IT certification, type of IT certification consideration, example of course, and then what you should go for. Lastly, Q&A. Please take note the Q&A here, I put at the end so it's easier to manage it. But nevertheless, if you need to have any question at any point of time, don't worry. Just shout out my name, say, Robin, I have a question. I'll be more than happy to stop and answer it. If the answer to that question is a bit longer than I expected, I'll probably bring it towards the end here, which is the Q&A, right? At the meantime, again, without further ado, let me start. So working experience, I've been around 21 years working in IT industry. Well, as I mentioned just now, I'm with current U-Mobile. U-Mobile, as you know, is one of the most dynamic telco in Malaysia. So I've been attached here approximately 7 years. And you may wonder if that is long. Oh, I tell you, there are more of my colleagues more than 7 years, some as long as 15 years. Considering we are 15 to 16 years company, that's pretty long, right? And there's some secret why working in U-Mobile is very happy and a lot of people stay on here. Okay, a little bit again about myself in U-Mobile. I joined and I was with internal audit department. I was an internal auditor. Then I jumped onto IT department as an IT policy and compliance person. So there is a little bit briefly about myself here. If you're just curious, in U-Mobile, IT department is approximately 100 plus people, right? That is not too small, nor too big. So you get a little bit family feel, like keluarga. That is a good thing. Okay. Industry-wise, I've been with work as a system integrator company. I work in stock exchange. So try to guess in Malaysia which is the stock exchange. There's only one, start with B. All right. I've been with oil and gas industry as well, which is Shell in their IT arm. I also with IT consulting, Accenture before, pharmaceutical, GSK, insurance, Great Eastern, banking, Stanchart, telecommunication, which is obvious now. I am with New Mobile. So you can see my experience span a number of industry. If you have any question not relating to certification but this industry, no worry. Feel free to let me know. Be more than happy to answer if I can. All right. Job domain wise, so what has I done in this many industry that I work with? So I've been system engineer, means that I've been on the field helping people to troubleshoot their system. That was my very first job. Exciting and also interesting to learn a lot of experience from there. Operation team lead, right? Operation team lead essentially means that during the operation, you are team lead leading that, helping to resolve issues, requests, questions. So that is a typical of operation team lead. Service delivery manager, or one of my favorite job as well. And also a very interesting part, as a service delivery manager, as the name implies, you are supposed to ensure service delivery. So typically in delivery industry, delivery manager, you do have some what we call SLA, service level agreement, for example. So between you and your internal customer or external customer, you have service delivery. So maybe you have resolved incident, for example, or fulfill the requirement of the request. All right, that could be one of your key things as a service delivery manager. And of course, you may also coordinate and work with other peers within your company. Project manager, as you know, the name implies that actually this is regarding doing a project. So what's the difference between project and so-called operation? So project is a well-defined, limited in time, scope, and resources and budget. Operation, you are perpetual, means you continue to do the things as long as the company or the service exists. Right. Infrastructure manager. So this is a more technical role whereby I actually help the IT department manage their infrastructure. So when I manage the infrastructure, what that means is that you have things like, example, your server, your storage, your backup, your application, your web application, for example, your DNS application. That is a part of an infrastructure manager. So I manage and handle the day-to-day of it. And IT auditor, also another interesting aspect of my career, whereby I actually do audit on the so-called IT department. So you also get to understand what is the so-called system about. You do a walkthrough with your auditee. You get to know more of the system. Then using audit methodology, I actually try to understand, is there any things that the people who operate the system may have missed out? Then could this be translated to a better opportunity to improve, and that result in the audit report? So IT auditor is also definitely feels like very strange, but I can tell you a very rewarding career path as well. Lastly, my current role here, IT compliance. So compliance is very simple. You just look at what is the current policy of the company, then you ensure it's fulfilled. Sounds simple, right? But I assure you, it may not necessarily be that, right? Nevertheless, I'll be more than happy to explain more of this job domain if anyone have any question about this. Right, let me move on to the next slide. About myself, again, if you can see just now earlier in my slide, I get a few number of titles. So these are among the IT certification that I achieved along the years. So the first, this is what we call the digital badge. Nowadays, it's very trendy, whereby people go for certification, no matter it's technical certification or non-technical certification. They will probably give you a badge to inform people and also to advertise yourself some sort, that what type of so-called achievement you gain. I'll probably talk about more of the so-called technical and non-technical pages later. So the first pages here, you can see this is the short form is CISA, the Certified Information Security Auditor. So this is given out by ISACA. ISACA is a professional body. So professional body that actually comprise of many auditors, cybersecurity professionals, people who are in policy, line of policy, assurance, IT consultants. So in fact, if you know a company like Big Four, like accounting before, KPMG, Deloitte, PwC among them, they also have a lot of IT auditor because today, audit is not just about finance. They rely a lot of so-called system, computers, server, no matter it's in cloud or in your office. So they require professionals that are able to audit all this. And those who actually join ISACA as a professional body, they can go and sit for exam. And once they gain the so-called certification, we are given this electronic badge, which is, as you can see, this is titled CISA, right? From the same organization, ISACA, I also have CDPSE. This one is Data Privacy Engineer, right? So privacy will be something I wouldn't say quite new, but nevertheless is just happening in the last few years, whereby these days a lot of countries, especially like Malaysia, Singapore, Hong Kong, India, all these countries, they have what we call privacy law. So the privacy law does not just talk about the law, but it requires system to implement that. So in Malaysia, obviously, the most famous privacy law we have is called PDPA, Personal Data Privacy Act, right? You can Google for more information. So CDPSE is from the technology aspect. How do we ensure, protect, and also implement system to actually protect privacy? So in this case, I'm using this knowledge to protect the privacy of our subscriber in UMobile. So when I, for example, if I leave UMobile, I go other way, this is the type of certification will help me to implement the same thing, which is helping any other company to implement privacy in the system within their company. Right. Any question at this point? As I say, if you have, just put in the chat or Q&A or just shout out my name, right? Okay. At the same time, you will see next to my page here is DRI International, CBCP certified. So DRI International is again a professional organization, just like ISACA is a professional organization for community of IT auditor, IT professional. DRI International is a professional body for people who dabble in disaster recovery, business continuity. So with this badge, it means that I meet the criteria of DRI as a professional, certified business continuity professional. Right. So again, in today world, corporate world, they are not just talking about system, they're talking about life and also ensuring continue of the business in the event of a disaster. So I guess you can say disaster recovery, business continuity, it picked up a lot after the 911 incident. And as of today, the industry requiring professional for so-called BCP professional or DR professional are quite robust and high in demand as well. Especially in Malaysia, regulated industry like banks, telco, the so-called critical national infrastructure industry, we are required to have BCP and DR in places. Right. I will go on to the next one I have here is PCB. PCB is a Canadian professional body. So among the certification they have is ISO/IEC 27001. The title I have here is certified ISO 27001 lead auditor. So again, this is relating to my experience as an IT auditor. I get this because I was doing ISMS. Now, does that pique your curiosity? What is ISMS? So ISMS is Information Security Management System. It's a framework, right? A framework within IT to help the organization to secure their information. So to, again, critical national infrastructure company like banks, telco, we are required by, not bank, but especially telco, we are required by our regulatory, which is SKMM, all right, or MCMC, the acronym in English. We are required to be ISMS certified. So in my work, I get this ISMS 27001 LA to assist and ensure my company are properly certified. Move on to the next certification I have is a Certified Information Security Awareness Manager, CSAM. Quite a mouthful. Huh? So CSAM is offered by MyCert. MyCert is the so-called Malaysia security body, right? So I get this is because in today's world of information security, one required to also educate our end user. So when we educate our end user, we provide them information, knowledge, how to avoid certain like phishing, scam. All these are what we call awareness. So this is a certification to say that I actually have mastered certain skill within this global S body for this exam, right? Now I have also the so-called Incident Responder Fundamental Certification. This is actually offered by a company dealing with product in incident continuity. So they offer an exam whereby I took it. So in information security or so-called IT, sometimes you have incident. Incident means that things that happen when it's not supposed. So things goes wrong, in other words, and things goes wrong, how do you respond to it? What is the proper structured way to do it? So this is one of the certification I have, right? Lastly, one of the other certification I have is ITU. Some of you all thought maybe freshy, you may have heard of it, ITU Foundation. So this is, again, is a framework, or some people call it library or IT infrastructure library, but hardly people call it IT infrastructure library. People just call ITU. So ITU, you have many levels. Foundation is the most basic level. All right. Looks like we are doing great here. Okay. So let's move on to the next slides. You may wonder, after I talking about this 6 to 7 so-called digital badge, what is this about? And then why do even I bother to pursue it, you know? So the most important is you must understand what you're getting into, right? Look at this way. In today's working environment, no matter you are experienced person, experienced workers, or you are freshly just out, or you are even studying, you know, and everyone know it's a super competitive job market out there. That's why I believe some of you read very much or even scout for information in terms of what is the market looks like, what is the expected salary, how does the outlook of the industry looks like, you know, should you join bank, should you join telco, should you join an airline, should you join a so-called hospitality industry. It is super competitive, right? To the point that if you want an edge in what you do, you really need it, especially even you want to be shortlisted for interview. I can tell you and guarantee you there are tons of people out there with the same qualification as you. So some may have a better CPA than you, some will be worse, some will be better in soft skills, some will be very good in programming, but weak in soft skill, for example. But I can tell you, in IT world, in IT industry, is even more complicated. Why? Because unlike example, If you want to study law, study accounts, there's just a few paths for you. IT, there is 1,001 option for you. So IT certification help you to stand out, because the employer that look at you and say, hey, this person have some basic IT certification. Though this person may not necessarily have the experience yet, after all, you're freshie, right? Even you have internship, how long can it be? 6 months, 9 months at most. So you want to have an edge in a super competitive job market, IT certification can help you. Stand out from the crowd. As I say, the job is one thing. How do you even stand out from the rest of the crowd in such a crowded? Meaning, in other words, myself, example, is a hiring manager, means there are people who reports to me. I look at candidate, I look at their CV, I talk to HR, I tell them what I need. So how does we even be able to communicate? I'll be saying this truthfully. Sometimes HR know what I need, sometimes they don't. Because why? I don't blame them. Because sometimes IT is such a complicated area that you probably very good if you have some person HR with a IT background, so they know what you're talking about. So one way of making sure we have the right candidate, sometimes I look at the candidate with the certification. Now, candidate with certification, I'll definitely shortlist them. All right, I'll definitely shortlist them. They have the experience or not, I can take a look later. But candidate with purely working experience, I'm not say I don't shortlist them, but usually there's a disadvantage. Because if you give me a candidate with 5-year experience with certification and another, similarly about 7-8 year experience, but without certification, I would probably choose. I'll probably choose my first choice. Shortlisted would be the candidate with approximately the same experience but with certification. Again, no discrimination, but this gives you a positive light. All right, new tech every day. So how you probably ask, how everyone know there's new technology every day, but how does certification help you? So certification keep you on the edge, in the sense that, especially professional body certification, be it technical or non-technical, they require you to have what we call CPE, continuous. Let me explain later, because that is quite a long one, so I don't want to mix up here. All right. So there is something that professional body certification and non-professional body certification. This is a very interesting part. I'll talk more later without now prolonging the session of this slide. So again, you need to continuously learn. All right. How do you do that with certification? You'll be interested to find out later. Trend. I'll be frank, this is the trend these days. Last time when you come out with IT, people ask, what do you have? Do you have a cert? Do you have a degree? When I mean cert here is like education cert, or do you have a diploma? Do you have a degree? As you know, these days, I think everyone can agree that if people look at the education, people look at fresh grad, they'll probably look at minimum as a degree holder. Again, I'm not discriminating those only have the diploma. They'll look at them as well. But what is the fair minimum requirement employer are looking at, right? So this is a trend, and IT certification is no different. It used to be people just hire people for experience, but nowadays, when you look at the trend, people are looking for person with IT certification. Fast track your career path. One thing that I notice people holding IT certification is they know what they want, including myself. Once you know what you want, then you fast track your career path, right? That is as simple as it is. And lastly, networking opportunity. Similar with like why I mentioned new tech every day and how you get to learn so-called improvement with the IT certification. IT certification surprisingly provide you networking opportunity with your peers of your industry. How does that work? You're curious, right? Let me explain in the subsequent slide. Okay. Before we go, obviously it's money. So everyone work for salary, right? Or anyone want the extra money? Anyone want a higher salary compared to others? Obviously, even nicer, right? So how does IT certification allow you to earn more money? Okay. Now, this slide, this is a fact, means that this is truth. It's not something I make up. IT certification can boost earning potential. Exim, professional body, is a body that provide the so-called training and certification. Exim survey show that 23% of IT professionals receive salary increase of up to 20% after getting certified. I can tell you, this is actually true, and it can be even higher than 20% if you play your card right. So if you say 23%, I don't believe. I believe more than 23%. A lot of people who get certain certification, for example, if you know in fields like project manager, PMP, if you are interested in IT networking, playing with stuff like Cisco, Huawei router, and things like that, the highest achievement one can get is CCIE. I guarantee you, if you have those certification, you put in LinkedIn and say you're looking for a job, people, headhunter will be calling you. Why? Because these professionals are highly in demand. Believe me, the so-called increase 20%, nothing. It will be more than that. Okay, so you have type of certification. So you have, you can see this triangle: professional body, vendor neutral bodies, principal vendor. Perhaps I go a little bit more detail here. So professional body, just now, as you can see my digital badge, I keep on mentioning this body called ISACA. So they are one of the professional body for communities of IT auditor, people in IT security, also people in compliance, and also general IT professional. There is also professional body who specialize just in IT security. So they are what we call ISC square. All right. This is a professional body very famous for their certification called CISSP. You can Google that, CISSP, right? Then coming back to principal vendor, obviously these are actually referring to vendor-based certification. So who are the vendor-based? Well, obvious, you have Microsoft, Oracle, SAP among them. You have also, example, Red Hat, IBM, Google, AWS by so-called Amazon, right? So there are tons of vendors outside there. Again, there is a advantage and also disadvantage with our principal vendor professional body certification. But perhaps I can explain more later. You have vendor neutral body, so you will be people who are what we don't say is professional body, but at the same time, they offer certain level of certification. So the difference is vendor neutral bodies, you don't have an association to join, for example, or you don't have a local chapter. But for professional body, you have a local chapter. Right. Coming back to this pie chart here. So just now I mentioned, yeah, Cisco is also one of the so-called vendor certification. Then the so-called vendor neutral, you have CompTIA, Sense Institute, Offensive Security, EC Council. So these people are also, or this organization is also world famous. They have their range of certification, but they are not an association compared to this here, ISACA, IC Square. IAPP is about privacy. PMP, PMP is not PMP, sorry, PMI Institute, Project Management Institute, is famous for their PMP certification. And DRI, as I explained, is Disaster Recovery Institute. They are famous for their so-called disaster recovery certification. So these are the so-called associated certification offered by this professional body, right? So you have CompTIA, you have they're famous for A+. A+ is those who are usually, when they say they join IT, they say I want to learn everything from scratch, start from the PC. So a lot of them get A+, and they hold CYSA. This is cybersecurity related. So they are famous for their plus series. So that's why you can see their certification come with the plus at the end. SANS, one of the top-notch so-called security certification, IT security certification. So among of them is SEC 504, 401, very technical. I can tell you, top-notch people who in the IT field, they go for SANS, they go for so-called this certification from ISC Square. Many of them, you have offensive security, PEN 300. So offensive security, they are famous for their so-called product called Kali Linux. It's downloadable, free of charge. You use it for pen test purpose. EC Council, famous for their certified ethical hacker, certified CISO. Right, I won't go into Cisco, Microsoft. These are people well known, but I believe for most of the fresh grade, they probably don't know about professional body or so-called vendor neutrals, so-called certification. That's why the emphasis of my talk today is more of in general, what is the market offering, and give you a big guidance, which is the right one. Okay, value of the cert. No, end of the day, this is your time and money. So you may ask, why do I need that? Then probably you have your reason. You must also know how does it contribute, one, to your knowledge and skill set. Two, increase your networking with peers. Why increase networking with peers is so important? Because end of the day, you work in the industry, there are a lot more other similar person in your position. So you may want to exchange of knowledge, right? Exchange of contact. How do you do this? Sometimes as a person, you can't solve everything by yourself. So you need someone to support you, in a sense, people who can share your problem, understand, networking, get more friends. Hey, nothing wrong, right? You actually enjoy it with more friends as well. And lastly, how does the cert open door to opportunity in future? So as I mentioned just now, as a hiring manager myself, I find it interesting for those who have a certification. I understand the pain and the journey, the commitment, how they do this. Recognition and relevancy, experience required for this certification, affordability and maintainability of this certification. Now, I understand there's quite a number of questions. Perhaps I can take some of the question now. Okay, so from good morning from Lashwini. What skills are most crucial to succeeding in this career, and what type of person we need to be? Wow, this is quite broad. So perhaps I can give you a short and compact one. I would say most crucial skill in succeeding in this career, I presume, is IT career, right? So just like any career, my advice is I don't consider myself old, but 21 years of experience certainly teach me certain things. Be resilient means that in the face of failure, don't give up. Time will teach you how to solve the issue. But the moment you give up is the moment, I would not say it nicely, you fail yourself. Because no one can actually help you all the time. You have to face the issue. I know when I say no one can help you, but doesn't mean you can't go and get help. It will be surprised in the IT world, there's a lot of channel forums. You can spend tens of thousands of hours to learn everything you want to know. I put an example when I graduated in around year 2000, when internet is not that prevalent because we don't have that good internet connectivity. Even those days, I remember if I want to go internet, is what we call using dial-up. Means that you have to actually use the telecom line, double click, and then connect. Then you're on. Your phone is just a dumb phone. You just have digit to key in. You don't have surf internet. Today's I can see you have YouTube, you have Udemy, you have learning. There's so much learning. The only thing you probably don't have is time. So what I'm trying to say here is that be resilient. Always face your failure. I will be frank, I also have failure. In our life, everyone have failure. We want to just get up from it. You know what people say? Where you fall, you get up, learn the lesson, move on. Okay, move on. That is crucial. Once you're able to continue to do this, then you'll be resilient and you're able to succeed in whatever you do, not just IT field. The next one, may I know what IT auditor generally do? Is it possible for people with an IT background to pursue this position? If yes, what advice you would give to them if they are interested in that job? Example, take certain certification or extractor. This is by ABG, right? I hope I pronounced that correctly. So what does IT auditor generally do? This is an interesting fact. So IT auditor is in general just like any other auditor. Like finance auditor, if you heard before, what they do is, just like the name implies, audit. Audit means they check against what you do, what you say you're supposed to do. Do you follow your own rules, process? So IT auditor is generally the same. The only difference is we don't do the audit on finance. We do the audit on IT system. It can be IT process as well. But what interesting thing about IT auditor, you don't work for IT department normally. Usually, IT auditor work for internal audit department to maintain their independence. They are not under IT department, and they usually reports to what we call audit committee, right? Actually, what they do is quite broad. I don't think I can answer everything here, but in general, that's what we do. IT auditor, they check what you say you will do, means based on your policy, which is your rules. Just like Malaysia is a nation, you have undang-undang or law. You know, in a company, we call that policy. So the policy says that you must come work at 8 o'clock. So your HR will make sure everyone work at 8 o'clock. Anyone who come after 8 o'clock, of course, they will be subject to inquiry and even disciplinary action. Same thing in IT. IT will say that I will run this system this way. I'll ensure password is in place, for example. So IT auditor will go and check, is the password in place? You know, is there any violation? Anyone don't use the password, or anyone who use the password but abuse it or try to go around it, for example. So that is very high level general. What does IT auditor do? So, you know, without IT background to pursue this, I will tell you a little bit secret. A lot of big four, they have so-called financial auditor. They'll be prepared for this. They find finance very boring for them. So what they do, I know a few so-called big four consultant in IT. They actually certified CPA. You know what certified CPA? These people who can sign off the accounts. I don't know what the acronym is. Certified Professional something CPA. So as long they can. Okay, so they can sign, things like accounts, right? Or certified professional accountant or something like that. So they end up become so-called IT auditor as well. Why? Because IT audit, some of their foundation practice actually come from finance. So we use terms like testing, sampling, interesting, but to some people can be very boring at the same time. All right. So ABG, if you want, later I can show you my LinkedIn account. You can hook up with me, connect me there. Then we can take this offline also. A lot of things from there we can talk about that. From Dinesh, if mechanical engineering background possible to apply job in telecommunication field, definitely. I've seen so Dinesh, my advice is these days there's no such thing as my background is Bachelor of Art. Can I do this? Nah, I can tell you that type of thinking is nonsense. You can do whatever you want if you have the view. So yeah, telecommunication field, we have people who are, example, I have a lot of colleagues who are computer science background. They are also engineering background, electrical background. Hey, if you can convince during the interview, there's nothing to stop you. But of course, with IT certification, it would give you a better advantage or edge in this case. All right. Then we have Kojuni. Is it considered continuous professional education, right? Yeah, definitely. I was about to show the next slide, but you hit the point. So CPE is something that usually for professional body, one is certified, you have to have a CPE. I will explain more. How do you actually require this? Some people also call it CPD, Continuous Professional Development. Nevertheless, it's interchangeable. CPD or CPE. Certain certification requires you to maintain certain number of hours per year, and in 3-year cycle. ISACA, for example, is a 3-year cycle, right? From Nushai to Shafira. Good morning, everyone. I'm Mr. Robin. If I don't have IT background, but currently taking Google certification for data analyst, where to go, girl? That you are good. Is there any chance that I will boost up my resume? Definitely. Yes, I can tell you I've known some people who actually data analysts from different background. Again, in today's work as a hiring manager, if you tell me you are, I don't know, bachelor in how to say, European artistic or Renaissance period, yeah, I don't really mind. I will shortlist you for your capability. All right, your capability. Degree these days or diploma is just a form of formal education. It doesn't stop you. Right? You want to move forward, just know what path you want. Get it? So, Nushaidatu, you are on the right path. I can give you answer. Definitely, yes, you are on the right path. In fact, there is much more than this, right? But you're certainly on the right path. And I think that's all for the question I see here now. Thank you very much. So I'll resume back to my so-called presentation. Now, this is an example of Google Cloud certification. All right. So Google Cloud certified. This is not a data analyst, but nevertheless, it's one of the popular one in the market. So what is termed as technical or non-professional? It just require one thing: you study, pay exam fee, take exam and pass it. Sorry, that's 3 things, not 1 thing. So, but I know some of you may say, wow, 200 ringgit leh, 200 US dollar leh. Kira-kira banyak juga, around 800 to 1,000 ringgit. Unfortunately, yes, a lot of these are certification, be it technical or non-technical, be it from professional body. It's expensive because it's all in US dollar. But if you ask me, worthwhile, yes. If this is your career path, you want to be good in the so-called cloud certification to show people that you master certain knowledge and skill set of cloud, this is certainly a well worth money, USD 200. Okay, you're not required to submit application. Yearly professional body membership, you're not required. Annual maintenance fee, you're not required. Right? Just now I mentioned about CPD, Continuing Professional Development, or CPE. So all this you are not required. You just need to read in your own time, understand, take the exam, pay the $200 US, wait for the result, pass it, then congratulations, you are Google Cloud certified. Right? Now, Just now you said, Robin, I see you just now, you mentioned a lot of those C-STAR, CDPSE, all these things. Wow. So how about those? Now I give you example of CISA. So I would say be prepared to bleed, yeah. ISACA Certified Information System Auditor, CISA for short. So this is a professional body. You require to have a pay exam fee. Is as high as $760 for non-member or $575 for members. Members means member of the professional body, okay, and attached to a local chapter. Submission application. So once you pass the exam, you have to pay a $50 application fee. This is one time. Then for yearly professional body membership, $150. For ISACA, this is optional. But for certain body, you require to be member of that body. And the fees for membership bodies varies from different body to different body. ISACA has happened to be $150. Now, if you sign up as a new member, there's also a charge of $10 fee one time. This is online. I believe if you are using paper, it will be more expensive. Annual maintenance fee. This is what AMF, what we call. So every certification required from professional body require you to maintain and pay $45. This is to support the organization. They'll maintain, they'll hire people, they have a system, they track your CPE, your CPD. All this actually are dollar and cents. And to maintain CPE or CPD, you require 20 CPE. How do you get the CPE? Is you attend webinar, for example, 1 hour, then is equivalent to 1 CPE, 2 hour, 2 CPE, right? So for total of 3-year cycle, you require to have 120 CPE or CPD. I will go back. I understand there's some question from Nur Fatiha. Good morning. May I know for fresh grad, which certification you start off for networking related? Interesting. Usually, I would say for networking related job, the most famous one will be either for CompTIA series, it will be Network Plus or Cisco CCNA. Go for this both, you won't be wrong. Any of these, right? Having so much experience in different field, I believe you're talking about me. Thank you. Which one sparked you the most? Will you still be joining other IT field? Wow. I would say this is tough to answer. Question from Chai Chong Yu. Which one sparked you the most? Actually, one thing I feel, working is not just about working, but the friendship that you build up in the workplace, things you learn, right? I would say all of them have different spark for me. Yes, some spark are less, some spark are more, but it's all interesting one. I won't be able to say which one is better than other because it also depends on you as a person. Do you actually mingle with people, talk with people, not just about work, not just about being colleague, but being friend. Some of these friendship, I'll be frank, last longer than my work. So I have been working in some company like more than 15 years ago. I still maintain friendship. To me, that is even more precious. But nevertheless, interesting question. And how do you actually say which one sparked the most? I won't be able to give the answer because all of them to me is that memorable. Yeah, some of them will be not so nice, but nevertheless, I told you earlier, where you fall down, you get up. You learn from the experience. Don't let the failure defeat you. Would you be joining other IT field? Frankly, hard to answer because today IT field keep on expanding. Today we have when I start off work, when we talk about server, it's a physical. Today it can be cloud somewhere. It probably so virtual you can't see it. So the concept of IT these days is ever evolving and ever changing. Given opportunity, I'll continue to learn. So I hope that answer your question, Chai Chong Yu. Right, next question. Groshini. All right, good morning. May I know that have graduate in marketing? Should we start with a job in marketing? Frankly, I never worked in marketing before, but I always find people in marketing interesting bunch of folks, very lively, very, how to say, able to express themselves, not introvert, So I would say, yeah, why not? There's no such thing stopping you. You want to go for marketing, you can join other field as well if you want to, right? So don't worry about that. Oh, we have also another one, Adiba. Will you suggest students to go online certification from Udemy, Coursera? Well, this is a bit tough to answer because I know Udemy, Coursera, they offer so-called certification. For those who are not sure what is Udemy or Coursera or EduX, for example, this is what we call MOOC. Massive online open certification or education, something like that, right? So the fact is that MOOC, many of them, they offer learning and they offer certification. Now, if you ask me, learning is definitely not an issue, no matter it's Coursera, Udemy. But the certification, to be frank, it depends if you want to spend the money or not. Because if you want to spend, like, for example, I don't know, just example, $39, $90 on a certification, I would say, why don't you save the money and go for a more recognized one, like, from example, Google or Cisco CCNA. Those is not cheap also, but at least the money you save from Udemy, you can get there. All right. No wrong and right. You can always, if you somehow get it free from Udemy and Coursera, why not just attend it and get it? Right? So I hope they answer your question, Adiba. Nice, Ati. Good morning, Mr. Robin. Can suggest affordable certification for fresh grad? I will tell you what. Surprisingly, there's a lot of free certification. In a sense, people from Microsoft, AWS of Amazon, they actually do give out free certification, but you must scout their website. Especially Microsoft, look for the one called Microsoft Fundamental. So they got a lot of their cloud platform like Azure. So they have Azure Fundamental. It's FOC, right? It's FOC. Just look for it, or if you're still not sure, you can connect my LinkedIn. Later, can message me. I can probably give you some guide there. So, yeah. The good news is that with this knowledge, yes, there is affordable certificate, and some of these can be even free. Some of them that I show you, like just now, the Google Cloud is also a good to start. But the most important is you must know what you want, what path you want. Then you aim your time and resource. Okay. There's more question as well. All right. This one is from Ashikin. May I know that any scholarship ever for offer who are interested to take IT certification? Wow, this is a bit beyond me. I know some bodies like MDEC, MDEC is Malaysia Digital, the one, Malaysia Digital MDEC. So look for the internet there. There's MDEC. They offer some of this certification, subsidized or outright free of charge. They also have e-learning as well. Yeah, Malaysia Digital Economy Corporation, MDEC, right? So they have a lot of program they offer to fresh grad, unemployed people, even people with experience want to further their learning. MDEC offer a lot of goodies there. Take a look there. Okay, right. So I hope that answer your question, Ashikin. Now, going back to my slide here. So just now I talked about Isaka, the course. It's not cheap, professional body. That's why it's called for professional body. But the rewards in return is a bundle. I can tell you the first time I put up saying that in LinkedIn, I tell everyone, hey, I passed CISA. Wow. Headhunter calls start coming in. Hey, Robin, I got this bank. Hey, Robin, I got this insurance. Hey, Robin, I got this company. Oh, because they say I passed CISA. Because to multinational banks, insurance company, they can afford to pay professional body certification give you a very good advertisement that this person is capable, have the right experience, so he or she is worthwhile to be hired. Right. So which one to choose? Now there is a lot of different factor here. Don't just rely on this, but there are many ways to look at the angle. But this is what I figure from my experience with ATEC certification. Technical versus non-technical depends very much on your career path. So my career path now is mostly non-technical. Although I deal with technical people, I'm lucky that I have the technical background, so that's why I'm able to deal with them. But my path these days, is I have done IT audit, I have done compliance now, so it's mostly on the non-technical path. So I pursue mostly professional body. So again, the next question is professional body versus principal or versus vendor neutral. This one is also a consideration for you, especially the cost, the relevancy of it, right? Your cost and time, right? All certification is not easy to pass. You really need to spend your time. You need to pay for the exam. So just now I give you example of Google certified professional versus the ISACA. You can say that there's different component of cost involved. Company support. This is very interesting and very important. Do your company support your personal professional development? Means all this certification, I'm not doing it for fun. I'm doing for my career path and also to eventually use it in my day-to-day. U Mobile as an employer is very supportive in this aspect. So I have gotten a few of my, in fact, out of the 6 to 7, you can say most of them I got it under U Mobile. Yes, it's the last 7 years I got all those certification. If you say that's impressive, I know people who have more than me. But I think the most important is that as an employer, U Mobile, if you are looking for a job and those field we are hiring, why do you want to join U Mobile? Myself is a good example. The company is very supportive and I really, really appreciate that. Right. Lastly, career path. How do you know that what is this certification going to support your career path or not? It's important because you can get all the different certification, but if it doesn't support, it will just cost you your time and your money as well. Right? Okay. Oh, we come to Q&A session. Sure. We'll get one more question from Aaron Hillary. Good morning, Mr. Robin. As management graduate, what skills certificate need to apply for data analyst? Second question is, any question what is industry I can go into as management graduate? I think I'll answer the second question first. The answer is any industry you also can go in as a management graduate. There's no issue about that. Again, typical, I always mention banks, insurance, telco, hospitality, any industry that you fancy, you can go in as a management graduate, right? Now, but I see you want to apply for data analyst. So, data analyst, just like one of the audience asked, Google data analyst, yeah, you can go for that. There are also a lot of different certification like SAS, they have also that. SAS, you can Google, is one of the brand name in data analytics, long time before even, data scientists that will become sexy. So SAS been there as well. There are a lot of so-called data analytic software. Some like to see fancy graph and things like that. Then I recommend you have Tableau, right? So there is a lot, but I'm sorry I can't answer in very detail because I really dive into data analysis type of so-called field. But if you want to consider, yeah, we may have opening new mobile, look at the job availability there in the Graduate Aspire website, apply for it. Who knows, you can become my colleague and then we can go further from there. So to everyone outside there, U Mobile is also hiring. To look at our U Mobile under the graduate expire. Look at those few opening that we have. Even you're not sure, we have HR colleague that you can reach out to and then ask them. Who know, we may have internship, we may have graduate, fresh grade requirements, especially position that are more of junior you may fit in. So yeah, that's all I have to answer that question. As I said, if you have more question, we may not have enough time, feel free to connect with me at LinkedIn. You can print screen this so you can connect me at LinkedIn. I'll try my best to answer your question you may have. Perhaps any other question, I'm not more than happy to take if there's any. All right, that's all for now. So thank you again, everyone, for your early morning Monday's time here, attending this webinar with me. I hope I'm helpful with the knowledge sharing I have. Again, my name is Robin. I'm with U Mobile, right? And this is my LinkedIn on the screen. Feel free to connect with me, and also reach out to our HR if you have interest in any of the position U Mobile is offering. We're more than happy to talk to you. Okay, so happy Monday, and that's all from me. Thank you very much. Back to you, Daniel.
Thank you so much, Robin, for a very insightful session. I hope everyone watching has gained important tips that you could apply on your career in IT or in general. And as Robin mentioned, be sure to visit U-Mobile's virtual booth to find out more about career opportunities at U-Mobile. And don't forget to vote them as Malaysia's most preferred employers for the Graduate Brand Awards. You can either place your vote at the U-Mobile virtual booth or the Brand Awards website at brand-awards.gradan.com. And also be sure to follow us, Gradan, on our social media to keep up with the latest updates on Gradan Aspire. Thank you for tuning in, and see you on the next webinar with Telecom Malaysia live at 11:30 this morning. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.